Mr. Williams, I'm sure Ms. Ross has gone over this with you, but just for the purposes of today, this is your preliminary hearing. The purpose of this hearing is to determine if there is probable cause to find the case over to the grand jury. It is not a time in which it will be determined that you committed this or any offense that may be testified to beyond reasonable doubt. That's not the purpose of this hearing. I'm sure Ms. Ross again has informed you of your constitutional rights regarding this matter. There's one particular one I want to address with you, and that is your right to remain silent. You have absolute right to remain silent. Nothing adverse will be said against you should you choose to do that. However, if you do decide to testify or to say anything out loud, anything that you say can be used against you, not only in this hearing, but at any time while this charge is pending. I say that to direct you that if you have questions or concerns about anything that is happening today, don't make any statements out loud. Direct them to your counsel. Write them down, or Ms. Ross can let your counsel to speak directly to her about it. Don't say anything out loud that could be used against you at a later time. That being said, the counsel for the state and defense will introduce themselves to the record, and the state may call this first witness.
Good morning, Judge. I'm about to state
And for Detective Sworn and the counsel for the defense will introduce themselves to the record, please.
Good morning, Judge. Shaquille Ross. Shaquille is S-H-E-Q-U-E-L. Ross for Domonique Williams.
Please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give tonight?
Yes.
Please state and spell your record.
Katie Reister, K-A-T-I-E-R-I-E-S-T-E-R. Morning.
Could you tell the court how you are currently employed?
By the City of Atlanta Police Department.
And within the City of Atlanta Police Department, are you assigned to a specific unit?
Special Victims Unit.
And how long in total have you worked in the Atlanta Police Department?
13 and a half years.
And how long have you been with a special victims unit?
It'll be almost a year in March.
Now, are you co-certified?
Yes.
And on January 19th, late in the evening, into January 20th, early morning, were officers dispatched to the Opera Nightclub for 1150 Crescent Avenue.
Yes.
Okay. And is that your full count?
Yes.
And can you tell the court why officers were dispatched to the Opera Nightclub?
They received a anonymous call from a woman that she saw a video on Facebook, that it was reported on Facebook Live, of an alleged apparent sexual assault happening on the dance floor at Club Opera.
Okay. And when officers arrived at that location, the Opera Nightclub, can you tell the court what they encountered?
So they had an extra job officer there at Club Opera, and him and another investigator that was actually assigned to another extra job as Midtown Blue came to Club Opera, and they looked for a victim and could not find one.
And was the club or Club Opera, was it crowded even?
Yes.
Okay. And they couldn't find the young lady who was on Facebook Live.
Correct. They canvassed the inside and outside in the parking lot and on the outside sidewalk, and couldn't find anyone.
And after they attempted to locate her and canvass the club as well as the surrounding area, can you tell the court what they did next?
Then they raised for a general investigator, an investigator White, a general investigator, someone that works overnight as the investigator for the entire city of Atlanta. He was advised of the situation.
And what happened after Investigator White got there? They, either completed or continued their investigation at the actual nightclub.
Investigator White put a preservation letter into Facebook so that the video was preserved.
Now,
So the next morning, I came in at 8 a.m. and Investigator White leaves at that time, so he usually gives us a briefing of what happened overnight, if anything applies to us. He did advise us of an incident that happened at Club Opera, and that he did do a preservation letter request for Facebook. We started receiving calls about this immediately. Like I said, I started at 8 a.m. and the phone was ringing at like 8:05. So then Zone 5, 2599, she was on desk duty that day, raised us on the radio and advised us that a possible victim was calling the Zone 5 precinct, since Club Opera is in Zone 5, and advised her that we were trying to find her. So she advised me the phone number of this victim, and I called her.
And the victim that's seen in the Facebook live video, can you tell the court what her name is?
It's Jasmine Warning. Yes, I called her and verified that it was her, and she said that she was the one in the video. She is married. Her Facebook name is Jasmine Island, but officially her name is Jasmine Warning.
Her married name is Island?
Yes.
And did Miss Warning Island explain to you where she was and what happened at the nightclub that evening?
Yeah, she said she went to the nightclub, Club Opera, to celebrate her birthday. And she was dancing, having a good time, when a gentleman started dancing with her and bought her a drink. She had a couple sips of the drink, started feeling woozy, weak. At this time, she was still on Facebook Live, reporting everything. And then she slumped over. She said all she can remember is waking up to someone giving her a bottle of water, a white female giving her a bottle of water, telling her to drink it, and before she comes back in the club. She complained of soreness to her anus.
And when she was complaining of the soreness of her anus, did she explain how or why her anus was sore?
She advised that she believes the gentleman that she was dancing with put his fingers in her anus.
Now, did she tell you where she was at that moment in time she was talking to her on the phone?
Yes, I had asked her to come into headquarters to speak with me, and she was already in Nashville, Tennessee, on her way back home.
On the way where?
Back home.
Where is home for her?
It is East St. Louis.
And did she say why she immediately decided to drive back home to St. Louis?
She just said she wanted to get back home. She wanted to get away.
And did she tell you about any steps that she planned to take as soon as she arrived at home in St. Louis?
Yes, I advised her, if she could, to go to the nearest hospital as soon as she gets to her final destination, to have a sexual assault kit completed.
And during that conversation on the phone, did you guys talk about anything else in reference to what occurred at the nightclub?
That was about it.
Okay. And did she go to the nightclub alone?
Yes, she originally went to the nightclub alone, and then she is Facebook friends with another woman who she didn't know was in Atlanta at the time. She's also from East St. Louis. Her name is Jamie Jackson. They had made plans to meet at the club that day.
And did you have a chance to speak with Jamie Jackson?
Yes.
And was Miss Jamie Jackson, or did Miss Jamie Jackson meet Miss Island Warning at the Opera Nightclub?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes, she advised that she arrived at the nightclub late at about 1 a.m. And she texted Miss Morning, "Where are you?" And they were on the complete other side of the club. So she walked over there, and she observed a male standing behind Jasmine. And Jasmine was up and down, as in her emotion. She was very emotional. She said one minute she would be crying, the next minute she would be dancing, fine, nothing. And Miss Jackson asked her, "What's going on? What's wrong with you?" And at first she just thought she was intoxicated and emotional. And she noticed the male behind her was videoing her and kept watching a video of her. And he stated that when Miss Jackson asked him who he was, he stated that, "I've known her for a long time. I came to the club with her." And Miss Jackson was like, "No, you didn't. I came to the club with her. You don't know her." And she got in between the male and Miss Morning, and he then walked away. Physically separated them, yes.
And after that, speaking with those two witnesses, have you had an opportunity to watch the Facebook Live video?
Yes.
And is Miss Island Morning in the video?
Yes.
And is the defendant also Mr. Williams in the video?
Yes.
And is Miss Island Morning yelling for help in the video?
Yes. She is verbalizing that she needed help.
And from watching the video, does the club appear to be pretty loud?
Yes.
Now, you said you had received a lot of calls concerning, in this case, not only from Miss Island, Miss Morning Island, Morning Island, but from other people who called about this case. Did anyone call who recognized the defendant on the Facebook Live video?
Yes. I just get her name. I want to get her name right. Her name is Jasmine Brewer. She stated that she used to date Mr. Williams recently. She gave his name, his full name, around his age, and she knew that he was born in April. She didn't know the exact date that he was born. And she gave a description of the vehicles that he drove and his address.
And what was the address she gave?
She gave 2867 2 Lake Circle.
Now, after speaking with Ms. Jackson, and then at the time Ms. Island Morning over the phone, did you have an opportunity to meet Ms. Island Morning in person?
Yes.
And speaking of Morning Island, and where?
I flew up to East St. Louis.
Okay. And can you tell the board a little bit about, I guess, your meeting and interviewing the victim in her hometown?
Yes. We went to a police department in her hometown, and she met us there as well as Miss Jackson. I did 2 separate interviews of them, and there she again reiterated what she did that night, how the night went, what happened, and she conducted a photo lineup with her. I went up with ADA investigator Donna Kimbrell, and since she wasn't familiar with what the defendant looked like, she conducted the photo lineup.
Okay. And did you make construct the photo lineup?
Yes.
Can you tell the board, I guess, a little bit about the makeup or how you constructed the photo lineup?
Yes. I obtained the defendant's picture from Virginia DES, and then I sent it off to. I put in a request for a photo lineup, and with 5 other similar black males.
Okay. When you say similar black males,
Similar features.
Which is features mean hair, facial features,
Yes.
skin tone.
Yes.
And when investigator Kimbrough, Donna Kimbrough, did the photo lineup with the victim, did she select anyone?
Yes.
And who did she select?
She positively selected Mr. Domonique Williams.
And during that interview in St. Louis with the victim, did she indicate as to whether she had gotten a sexual assault kit as she had told her to do after you got involved with her?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And where did she do that?
Touche Regional.
And was she also, as part of the sexual assault, examined by a medical professional?
Yes.
Okay. And at this point, have you received the medical records for the victim as it relates to her visit to the hospital?
I have not obtained them yet.
Now, after visiting her in St. Louis, did you have any other opportunities to meet with Miss Warner?
After that, no, I did not.
And then, subsequent to this interview, when you came back into town, any other additional calls as it relates to the defendant, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And who did you receive a call from?
Her name is Tata Sneed.
Okay. And can you tell the court why Ms. Sneed contacted you or the Atlanta Police Department?
She responded actually herself to police headquarters. And from there we met her we took her into an interview room and spoke with her about why she responded there. She advised that in September of last year, she went on a date with the male that was seen in the video,
Who was the male who was seen?
Domonique Williams. On this date, they went to a restaurant for some drinks. She said she had 2 drinks of Grand Marnier, and in between the drinks, she went to the bathroom. She came back. She finished a drink, and she said when she stood up, when they were ready to go, she felt very weak and had to sit back down. And she told the defendant that I don't feel so good, and he said, well, since your car's they met at his house and then took his car to the restaurant. And he said, since your car's at the house, why don't you just chill for a little bit until you feel good to drive?
And his house, is that the address that you gave previously off of Shoelace?
Yes, she advised it was the same address.
And after he had told her, if you just come back to my house, what did they do next?
She agreed to. She said that they were having good conversation, so she went back to his house. They sat on the couch. She remembers having more good conversation. They were laughing. And then all of a sudden, the next thing she remembers, she woke up in his bed. She looked in the bathroom and saw him in the bathroom, and she said it appeared like he was taking a condom off, and she heard the sound like a condom was coming off. When she got up and went to go to the bathroom, she had a one-piece outfit on. So when she took it off, she realized the private area of the outfit was actually ripped.
When you say private area, you mean not the bra, but the crotch area or the
Yes.
area where the vagina would be?
Yes. She said it was ripped, and
When she said ripped, can you explain to the court, was it like a hole or was it just a tear?
it was a big hole in there. She brought the actual clothing with her. She kept it.
Okay, and after she realized there was a hole in her jumpsuit, a large hole in her jumpsuit, in her private vaginal area, what did she tell you next?
She told me she looked at the defendant and said, "What the fuck happened?" And he said, you were moaning like you liked it. And she was like, well, what happened to my clothes? And he said, I was rubbing on you and it ripped. She said then she grabbed her belongings and left.
Did she tell you whether she had consented to any sexual relations or encounters with the defendant?
She said she did not.
And I believe the last thing she remembered was having a conversation on the couch, and then she blacked out.
Yes.
Okay. Did she describe to you, when you were speaking to her, how her vaginal area felt after she woke up and immediately left?
Yes, she said it had been about a year since she had, if I remember, about a year since she had sexual intercourse, and she said it did feel like there was sexual intercourse.
And did she describe to you what she was feeling, or she just say she felt like she had had sex and she had had sex in a year?
Yeah.
Okay. Did she tell you anything else as it pertains to your investigation?
She gave the same description of his vehicles, and I asked her why she didn't report it, and she said she just wasn't ready to report it. There was no reason.
And during that interview with Ms. Sneed, did you do any sort of identification procedure with her?
Yes, I'm sorry. We also conducted a photo lineup
Okay.
with her.
And
Investigator Wiggins conducted the photo lineup because she also wasn't familiar with, or I'm sorry, Investigator Epps did, because he wasn't familiar with what the suspect looked like.
okay. And were you the one who constructed the actual photo lineup?
Yes,
And did you do it in the same manner that you described earlier to the court?
yes,
Okay. And after Investigator Epps showed Ms. Sneed the six photographs from the photo lineup, was she able to make an identification?
yes, she did.
And who did she identify?
Mr. Domonique Williams.
And what did she identify Mr. Williams to have done?
To have raped her.
Now, just to circle back quickly to Ms. Morning Island, did she indicate that she had consented to the defendant putting his fingers into her rectum or her anus?
No, she did not.
And do you see the defendant, Mr. Williams, here in the court today?
Yes, I do.
And if you could, identify him by an article of clothing.
He is wearing a blue short sleeve shirt with gray undershirt, long sleeve.
And let the record reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant.
Record show sort of.
And the 28672 college department address, the defendant's address, where Ms. Sneed describes how she had been raped. Is that here in Fulton County?
It is in city of South Fulton.
No further questions at this time.
All right, thank you. Ms. Rose?
procedure of securing that evidence properly?
Yes.
Do you also speak to other people who might have knowledge about the crime outside of witnesses?
Such as officers?
Such as people who, let's say for an example, people who come to you, the people that you mentioned, do you have, are you responsible for also asking other people questions that may have been at a scene or a potential crime scene?
Yes.
And some of those people could be on Facebook, correct? Witnesses.
Yes.
And some of those people could be employees at a facility or a location, correct?
Yes.
And some of those people could also be security at a location or a facility.
Yes.
And are you also in charge of collecting DNA evidence as well?
We do only buccal swabs as an investigator.
Are you in charge of collecting toxicology reports and drug lab reports as well?
Yes.
And are you in charge of afterwards going to the scene, taking photographs of the scene, and going to the scene to maybe conduct further investigation of the scene and getting pictures and things?
Yes.
So would some of those pictures include entrances and exits of the scene?
Yes.
And street locations, the parameters of the scene as well?
Yes, we have a crime scene unit that does that.
Okay, but they turn over that information to you, and what's the procedure after the crime scene does that? What is that procedure with you?
We have to request the photos
Okay.
from the photo lab.
So do you also obtain witness lists and present, so let's say for an example, if the crime scene, once the crime scene does what they do, are they a part of is one of their duties, does that involve them looking for witnesses at the scene, securing the scene? At what part do you come in when you maybe talk to other witnesses at the scene, at the crime lab, or excuse me, at the crime scene? Let me go backwards. The crime scene is only in charge of what until you then take over? No problem, Judge. Right now, I'm establishing her role as a lead detective. I think it is relevant to probable cause because after the crime scene or her investigators do a certain type of whatever they do, their due diligence at the scene, they turn it over to her, and she establishes whether or not there's probable cause for a crime occurred. So right now, I'm getting into that. She said, crime scene does this and she does that. So I'm trying to establish at what point does she come in and what point does she take over.
I'll push for that on that purpose. We would move on from this.
Thank you.
It's established.
Well, since I came in at, the next morning, there was nobody there anymore at Club Opera. I called and I emailed, and they were already closed.
Okay, thank you. And you examine the scene to collect clues of the evidence, whatever they give you, you examine that?
At a later date, yes.
Okay, got it. And part of those clues of evidence, you'll be looking at surveillance that would be at a location as well, right?
Correct.
Okay. And do you also reach out to hospitals to verify people who have arrived at the hospital, potential victims?
Sometimes.
And when you have a case that actually happens on Facebook, allegedly, do you contact the Facebook administrators to preserve the evidence?
Yes, there's a proper procedure for that.
Okay. You mentioned a second ago that you reached out. You can just explain that when you said that you reached out to Facebook or you did something in that manner. What was that procedure? How did that go?
You have to complete a preservation letter, and you send that to a certain website, an email address, and they go from there.
Got it. So do they get back with you as an approval or to preserve it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And did any witnesses come forward outside of, I think the name that you mentioned was, Miss Jamie Jackson?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And what were those witnesses' names?
Miss Shartanya Brady.
And what was Miss Shartanya Bradley's involvement?
It's Brady, Braddy.
Okay, thank you.
She was also there in the same vicinity dancing, and she recorded the incident as well on her phone.
Got it. And did you get a chance to talk to Ms. Bradley?
Yes.
Got it. And was that conversation on phone or at the station?
On phone.
Got it. And what did Miss Bradley mention to you when you had that conversation with her?
She had mentioned that she thought that they were boyfriend and girlfriend. That's why she didn't intervene. But she was in the video. She had the video, and it showed the defendant carrying Miss Morning's body off of the dance floor.
Got it. Okay. So when you said she thought they were boyfriend and girlfriend, can you explain to me what that is?
She just said that they were together, and it looked like they were just together.
Okay. Did she explain the distance that she was from Mr. Williams?
Well, it shows in the video that they were in close proximity, a couple feet away.
Okay, so when she came in, she actually brought the video in for you to see?
She didn't come in.
Excuse me, when you spoke to her on the phone, did she make reference to the video and you pulled it up at that moment?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's move on to Opera Nightclub. How large would you say the facility is?
It's very large. I don't know. It used to be for an opera. It has several, I don't know the square footage exactly, but it has several separate different rooms.
So you've actually gone to the facility and you've seen inside?
Yes.
Right? As part of your investigation?
Yes.
Okay. Did you visit the full extent of the nightclub?
Yes.
And what is that full extent? Is that streets? Is that inside? Is that doors? Can you explain that?
There's several different rooms that you can have different events in. But in this case in particular was just on the dance floor that night. There was a performer on stage, which is towards the front of the nightclub.
Okay. And how many rooms would you say are inside the club?
I don't know. Maybe 6, maybe 3 downstairs, 3 upstairs. I'm just guessing.
Well, let me ask you this. You did go as part of your investigation to review the inside and the perimeter of the club, right?
Correct.
Okay, and so...
I wasn't focused on the other rooms as much, so
Okay.
I just happened to notice how big it was.
Got it, okay. And how many rooms are upstairs compared to downstairs?
I don't know exactly.
Okay. Okay, and how many patios are within the club?
There's a patio in the back outside that is separate from the inside. It's not inside. And then there is, towards the front of the club, there is a covered patio. It's outside, but it's covered.
Got it. So this patio, is it facing Crescent? When you say back outside, what does that mean? Can you please explain that?
So if you're looking straight at the club, it would be to the right.
If you're on the outside of the club looking at it?
Yes, it would be to the right. You have to go in the club, and then it's to the door immediately to the right.
Okay. And is it downstairs patio or is it upstairs patio?
It's downstairs.
Downstairs by the front or to the, is it veer to the right?
You're looking at, if you go in the club, in the front entrance, it's to the right.
And this is where people can also stand on this patio?
It's not 2 levels, it's just 1 level.
Okay, well, the level that so it's street level, basically.
No, it's not streets in the club. I guess on the 2nd level, because the
Well,
club is on the 2nd level. You have to go upstairs to get into the club.
Okay, and let me just clarify, just so there's no confusion. You can't enter that patio from the street, right? You have to be admitted into the club.
Correct.
Okay,
I believe so.
okay. And what day was this when this alleged incident occurred?
It was January 19th going into the 20th. She was there on the 19th that night.
Okay, and approximately what time did she get there?
She got there at approximately 10:50 that night.
10:50 or?
Yes.
So this alleged incident, did this happen while the performer was performing? Was there music playing? Can you describe that to us?
Yes, there was music playing.
And what type of event was this?
It was a hip hop, I believe, concert.
What type of artist? I think that's relevant. This is a lead detective who's testifying that she's gone to the scene. She has probably possibly spoken to the different people at the club. This establishes whether or not people in this area could have heard. So I'm trying to establish the timeline. I'm trying to establish if there was noise being played. I'm trying to establish certain things leading up to my argument. I think it's more than relevant if we're talking about a patio, we're talking about a club, we're talking about music. I think this goes to whether or not a crime could have possibly been committed.
Under sustaining objection, I think she testified that there was a concert and it was like.
No problem, Judge. Thank you. How many security were at the club this night?
I don't know exactly.
Okay. Thank you. And how many bartenders were there?
There were 2 that I know of.
For the whole night?
2 that I know of. I don't know what time they started and ended.
Did you get a chance to speak with those two?
No, I have not yet.
Do you plan on speaking?
I was not.
Was the owner present that night at the club?
I don't know.
Were police officers present at the club that night?
There was one that I know about, yes.
Okay. Did you get a chance to speak with them?
I didn't speak with him myself. No.
Were there undercover officers present that night?
Not that I know of.
Okay. And what type of patrons were at the club this evening or this night?
It was male, female. Seemed like a younger crowd.
Okay. When you say younger crowd, I would consider my mom young, but she wouldn't. So when you say young, what do you mean?
Probably mid-20s to late 30s.
And was there a fee to enter the actual club?
I believe there was pre-sale tickets.
And what capacity? What capacity is, or what I think they call it occupancy? What amount of capacity can actually be inside of the club?
I don't know.
Okay. And about how many patrons were there?
I don't know the exact number. But it wasn't a full you consider busy?
Well, I'm asking you, you're the lead detective, so I'm just trying to get an idea if it's not a busy night compared to if it is. So after you've done your investigation.
Like I said, the dance floor wasn't full.
Okay, the dance floor, what about the other areas of the actual club?
I'm not aware
Okay,
of if they were occupied.
okay. And do you know the artist who was performing?
I believe his name is August.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
please bring us back to probable cause.
Thank you, Judge.
Check on the opportunity for discovery.
Okay.
Property.
Thank you, Judge. Did the club have surveillance?
Yes.
Okay, did you obtain any of that surveillance?
Yes.
Okay, and did you get a chance to review the surveillance?
Yes.
And what did you see on the surveillance as it relates to Mr. Williams and the encounter with Elon?
I saw that it was captured that the defendant was walking out of the patio with Miss Morning.
And when you say walking out,
Back onto the dance floor.
okay, so. Go ahead.
Okay. So the video from Miss Chartanya Brady shows the defendant carrying Miss Morning to the side, which is where the patio is. Now the other part of the video that Miss Morning had on Facebook Live shows that they went into the patio and it was quiet in there. No one else was in there. And the video then reiterates her saying, "No, stop. Please don't do this to me." And then the surveillance camera shows them walking out a short time later.
Okay, so I want to make sure I understand. It says 3 different videos that were
She has her Facebook Live video.
when you say she.
Miss Morning victim, yes, has her Facebook Live video. Then Miss Brady's video, which is another viewpoint from her phone, showing the defendant carrying her off the dance floor. And then the surveillance cameras showing them re-entering the dance floor from the patio.
Okay, so from Miss Eva's video, that video shows them dancing?
Shows them dancing, and then it's, she's moving, you see her hair, you don't see much of anything, just her moaning, saying no, and then they go into a separate room and it's silent, so you could clearly hear them.
Okay.
He's saying, just sit down, and she's saying, "Please don't do this to me, please stop."
Okay.
And then the video goes black.
Got it. So with Miss Eva's video, did you see anything else on that video outside of her being on Facebook? What else did you observe? Excuse me, I'll back up. What else did you observe when you saw Miss Eva's actual video?
From her video,
Yes,
what else
from
did I
her
observe
video.
around the video? Just that there were other people dancing around them,
Got it. And how close proximity were those other people dancing around them?
like right against them, like right next to them.
Got it. So if this is Miss Morning and this is Mr. Let's say Mr. Williams and Miss Morning, how far back would you say? Could you still tell me where to stop?
Right there.
Right there. Okay. And is there a circular or a perimeter around people? So does it go all the way around? Different people all the way around, or is there just 1 or 2 people on this side?
There were just people everywhere.
So people everywhere.
Yeah, they were
Okay,
just dancing
okay,
all
that's fair.
around them. Yeah.
That's fair. Thank you. Okay, and in her video, at what point did she say stop?
When she's still on the dance floor.
Okay, and what is happening at that time?
She's leaning forward, and the defendant is behind her, and she makes a noise, opens her mouth, while making a noise saying, "No, no, no, someone help me."
Okay, and you said you spoke to Ms. Brady. That's the other video that you had?
Yes.
Okay, and did Ms. Brady say that any contact was going on at that moment?
said this, the defendant was holding her, she didn't, because the side angle that she was at doesn't show she wouldn't be able to see her anus.
But you did obtain surveillance from the nightclub, right?
Yes.
So in reviewing those actual videos, regardless of where E-Links or Brady stopped, you any other cameras from a different angle?
Not the surveillance didn't catch any. We couldn't see them on the surveillance at any other time.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to make contact with any of the other people who were standing around outside of Miss Brady?
No.
Okay. And where is Miss E-Ling describing that this alleged assault occurred?
She said on the dance floor, and then she doesn't remember after that.
And when she says on the dance floor, what exactly is she saying occurred?
She said it felt like the suspect's fingers were in her anus. There's a point in the video where she looks like she's writhing in pain.
Did you ever see Miss E-Ling dancing with him as well?
Yes, in the beginning of the
Okay,
video.
and how was she dancing with Mr. Williams?
He was behind her and she was in front of him dancing.
And you kind of bobbed a little bit.
Like she had her back against him, just dancing, and the defendant was kissing her neck.
Okay, and did she say stop at that moment when her neck was moving?
At that moment, no.
Okay. Did she, you did a bob, I'm going to go back to that. As she's bobbing, what is her demeanor and how is her statue towards Mr. Williams?
It appeared she was leaning back.
Okay, leaning back, like how?
How you lean back? Like against him.
I don't know. There's even a song called Lean Back. There's different ways that you can lean back. This is very crucial. So when you say lean back, do you mean the bottom half of her? Do you mean her upper half?
Okay, I'll just describe what I'm doing. Her shoulders are back, like leaning against the subject, the defendant.
Got it. And about how long in the video have they been dancing together?
I want to say a couple of minutes.
Okay. And did she look like she was having a good time? Was she smiling?
Yes,
Okay.
she was.
And so let's move on. I know the judge already stopped me once before. I'm going to move on. Let's talk about Miss Jasmine. You said she's how old?
She is 30 years old.
30. And you said she is married.
Yes.
Her married name is Eva.
Yes.
Okay. Does she have any children?
Yes, she does.
And how many?
She has 5 children.
5. Is she pregnant currently?
That's what she advised me, yes.
Okay. Do you know how far along? I think it is relevant. We are talking about a young woman who is alleging that she was assaulted by a guy in the club. This goes to her character, who she is, and how she was in that club. I think it is relevant to show who she was and who she is in that club and what was going on at that time. I think it's relevant.
She is now as a character of victim is not in this full court.
Let us sustain the position.
No problem. And what have you learned that she was doing in the club the night she was there? What was she there for?
She said she was just going to have a good time and dance,
Okay.
celebrate her birthday.
Got it. And what was she wearing that night?
She was wearing, I believe, a red dress.
Okay. When you say dress, that could be what type of dress?
Short dress, a mini dress.
Short. And when you say mini, what is that?
It appeared to go halfway down her thighs.
Okay. So I'm gonna step out. When you say halfway, I went to private school. My dress had to extend to my tip of my finger. So you mean here?
Halfway down her thigh. Not yours.
Okay. So how about this? How tall is she?
She's 5. I believe she's 5'2" or 5'3". She's very short, very small in stature.
Got it. And do you know how tall the defendant is?
He's 6'2", 6'4", I believe. Between that, I don't know exactly. Yeah, let me see.
And you saw her dancing on
6'4".
Okay, thank you. In the video, you said you saw her dancing. Did you see any part of her clothing at that moment in the actual video?
Yes.
What was it doing?
Yes. Her clothing was actually coming off of her.
And when you said her clothing was coming off of her, what does that mean?
Her strap was coming down, exposing her breast.
Okay, and then at any moment did she pull her strap back up?
She couldn't. Her arms were dangling down.
Okay, and with the extent of the video that you saw, at any moment did she pull her?
I believe at once, if I can recall, she did. I have to rewatch the video now.
And did you see her dancing, grinding, or dry humping my client from the back?
I don't believe she was. I couldn't see that. Just from the angle, I just saw her face.
You showed her what?
Just from the angle from her Facebook Live feed, I could just see her face at that moment and him behind her. So I don't know how she was dancing with him. The second half of that video later on.
So in any of those videos that you saw, with Elin, with Brady, or with the surveillance video at Opera Nightclub, in any of those videos collaboratively, did you ever see Miss Elin touching on my client?
Yes, they were physically touching.
Okay, and when she was touching him, what was she doing?
They were dancing.
And how was she touching him? Is the question.
With her body, the back side of her body.
Did you ever see her hands touching him at any point?
I did not.
And did you ever see her dancing with any other men in the videos?
No.
And when did you say you made contact with Miss Elin the first time?
It was the morning of the 20th. Approximately 8. What time she called? It was approximately 8:30 that morning.
And how did you come to understand that it was Miss Elin or Miss Morning?
She called the Zone 5 precinct, and the officer that was assigned to that precinct that morning raised us on the radio.
Got it. And you said she did not go to any hospitals in Atlanta.
Correct.
And you said when you made contact with her, she was already in Tennessee.
Yes.
And about how far is that drive from Atlanta to Tennessee?
It could be it's approximately an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Got it. Okay. And what type of sexual assault evidence has been collected on Miss Elin?
The sexual assault kit itself, what is all in it?
What type of evidence as to what type of forensic sexual assault evidence has been conducted on her?
Okay, they do a vaginal swab, they do an anal swab, they do a hair sample, they do her mouth swab, buccal swab, pubic hair, and they do a pelvic exam.
So was all of this done on Miss Elin?
To my understanding, yes.
Okay. And where is the custody of this actual test right now? Where is it at?
It is at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
And how did it get there?
When I was in East St. Louis, an officer from Centralville Police Department went next door, because their precinct is literally right next door to Touche Regional. He retrieved the kit and held it for me, so when I got there, it was now my custody.
Got it. And what did you do from there?
And then I carried it through the airport. I didn't leave my side, and brought it back to police headquarters.
Okay.
There it was logged in as evidence in a lockbox and then transported to the GBI.
And has any toxicology report been done?
She did give 7 tubes of blood and urine. We have not received the report back on that yet.
Is that also at GBI?
No, it is not. It is currently at the Touche Regional. We did not have that to collect yet.
Okay. And I just want to go back really quickly to the dance floor. How long approximately on the videos does it show that they were dancing?
Like I said, a couple of minutes.
And what was my client wearing in the video?
He was wearing a blue long sleeve shirt with 2 white stripes that went horizontally on the mid area of the arm, and then a winter cap.
Okay. And what type of bottoms?
He was wearing black Adidas white shirt with white stripes down the sides, pants.
Okay. And
The cloth type of Adidas pant.
Okay. So is this a jogging suit?
A jogging suit? No.
Okay. Were you able to identify what the pants looked like in the front?
In the front, I couldn't see the front.
Okay. And how many times on the video do you actually see them actually dancing together?
On her Facebook video?
Just of all the videos that you've looked at, how many times have they been dancing? Were they dancing together that night?
It was just, I believe that one time they encountered each other. It was, I can't estimate past the amount on the video itself.
I'm sorry.
Approximately 10 minutes at most.
Total for the whole night?
That's what I was told, yes, by the victim.
That's what you were told. But did you look at any videos?
The Facebook Live video, Chartanya's video, and then I have the surveillance video, which shows them coming out of the side patio.
Has Alfred given you any videos to this point?
Yes, I have surveillance
Okay.
of
About how
that.
many videos? Have you given you?
It's just, there's a couple of cameras upstairs and then a couple downstairs that actually show her just coming out that one time with him.
Got it. About how many hours of videos did you watch?
I didn't watch hours of videos. It wasn't hours.
Okay. Thank you. And when the video shows that my client is holding her up, what is his demeanor? What is his facial expression?
I couldn't see his face.
Do you actually see on the video my client assaulting Miss Eden?
No, not on the video.
To date, has anybody told you that my client assaulted Miss Eden?
Miss Morning herself has told me.
Any of the witnesses standing around her, have they mentioned to you that my client assaulted Miss Eden?
No.
Okay. In the video, do you ever see any part of my client's genitals or any part of his lower half of his body?
No, but you do see on Chartanya's video, his hand, he's holding her with his right arm, and then his hand goes to his mouth, and then his hand disappears in the back. Couldn't see what happened, where his hand went, but
But you couldn't see it at any point where his hands went?
no.
Okay.
His hand disappears.
Got it, okay. And let me ask you a question, and I don't know if the judge might stop me, but let me know. I can't assume you know what twerking is. Do you know what twerking is?
Yes.
Okay, and what is that? This is definitely relevant. We're going to get into what she did while she was at the club.
No, I did not.
Okay, and you said earlier that she left outside or exited. Where is this exit at?
Sorry, I'll retract that. On her Facebook post, she was live all night. She appeared to be dancing by herself.
Okay, got it. And
I'm sorry, what was the new question?
what was the last part that you said?
Oh, I said that on her Facebook Live, she did appear to be dancing by herself in a couple of videos before the Facebook Live video that we're talking about.
So let me just get a timeline. So she's dancing with Mr. Williams, right? Is that
We're
right?
talking about the Facebook Live video that with him in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so she's dancing with Mr. Williams on the Facebook Live. And then at what point, because you testified earlier that you saw them go out or come out of somewhere, when does that happen? Is that before or after the Facebook Live?
After.
After, okay. And when you see her in the video dancing by herself, do you see her with any panties on?
She did not have panties on.
And her demeanor when she was dancing by herself, when you mentioned that this was after,
I'm sorry, did you ask me if I saw her without panties when she was dancing by herself?
Well, I'll let you, yes, I'll rephrase my question. In the videos that you saw, did you see her with panties on?
In the Facebook Live video where she was with your client, her dress was coming off, like I said, her strap was coming off, exposing her breasts. The bottom of her dress was also coming up, exposing her vaginal area.
Okay, so in the video you can see her bare skin?
Yes.
Okay, got it. And at what point is this?
That was in the video in question with your subject behind her.
Got it. And when you said you did see a second ago, you saw her dancing by herself, when she's dancing?
That was prior to what we're talking about, when she stopped dancing by herself.
Okay.
It was the beginning of the night when she was there by herself. She was Facebook Live.
Did you ever see her on the stage dancing?
Yes.
Okay, and what was she doing on the stage?
Counsel, I want to ask you for one.
Okay, sure, no problem. At this moment, are you in possession of Ms. Eland's phone? Is there any evidence that you have in regards to Ms. Eland's phone?
I don't have it in my possession, but I have a picture of it, the back of it.
Okay, are there any text messages in the phone in which she's mentioning to anybody else about this alleged incident?
I haven't looked at text messages from her.
Okay, and have there been any other communications with her and anyone else besides J-Bug, her friend, in which she mentioned that this incident occurred?
She did go on the internet and talked about the incident afterwards, yes.
Got it. Did you get a chance to talk to any of those other people surrounding the incident that you spoke to on Facebook?
I spoke with Jamie Jackson, and I spoke with Shartanya Brady.
Got it. Anybody else?
No.
Has anybody else come forward to want to speak to you?
We received numerous tips about this from Crime Stoppers tips. Most anonymous.
Okay, thank you. And let's move on to Mr. Williams' direct section. What statements do you know at this point that he has given?
So after forgetting her name, I'm sorry, the ex-girlfriend, Jasmine Brewer, after she called with a tip with his phone number, I immediately called that number. He answered, and I advised him who I was, Detective Reeser with the Atlanta Police Special Victims Unit, and I was calling in regards to a video that went viral on Facebook, and I was advised that it was him in the video, and he said immediately, yeah, that's me. I want to clear my name. She's smearing my name, talking about I raped her. And I asked him, can you come talk to me? And he said, yeah, what's the address? And I gave him the address to headquarters. And I said, what's your ETA? And he said, I'm about 20 minutes away.
Let me just ask you a question. When was this?
That was at 13:24 hours on January 21st. And 15 minutes later, we agreed to have him come in, and then 15 minutes later, he called back and said that he was going to come with a lawyer instead. And I said, that's great, let's arrange a time. And he said, tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We had agreed on 2 o'clock for the next day.
So, excuse me, will tomorrow at 2 o'clock be?
The 22nd, January 22nd at 2 o'clock. And he didn't show up and was not answering my phone calls anymore.
At what point did you make contact with my office?
I think you should know that.
That is relevant because I'm going to establish that as a part of the investigation, Mr. Williams was willing to participate, as well as our office had other information and witnesses that had come forward to help aid during her investigation, and that does show whether or not a crime had been committed and if this defendant committed this crime. So that is what I'm getting into.
I believe her contacting your office is relevant to the probable cause issues. Move on.
No problem, Judge.
Sustained.
Thank you. When I actually made contact with you, did I mention that I had other witnesses and information to help aid in their investigation?
Yes.
And
You advised that you wanted to meet with me. This is January 23rd, and you advised you wanted to meet with me. I was off. You asked, are you willing to come in on your off days? I said no. And you said we could meet on Sunday, January 27th, 2019, but the time was not scheduled. You said you would get with your assistants to advise of the calendar and what time you could come in, and I never heard back from you.
okay, so you received an email on that, right?
That email was
As counsel to approach, please.
bachelor's in science and nursing, and also my bachelor's in science and nursing with a minor in nutrition.
Okay, and if you could just speak up just a little, if you could actually move the mic towards your focus.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and where were you at the night of January 19th?
At Opera.
Okay, and what time did you arrive?
About 11:20.
11:20 p.m.?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And do you remember seeing my client, Mr. Williams?
Uh-huh.
And is Mr. Williams present in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And where is he located?
To the left of you.
Okay, if you could describe him.
He's right there with glasses on and a t-shirt and a gray.
Okay. And when did you see him approximately?
I want to say it was a little before 1 a.m.
Okay. And what point did you see Miss Elam?
At the same time I saw Mr. Williams.
You saw them both together at the same time?
Uh-huh.
And how did your eyes make contact with them?
I looked diagonally towards them. I kind of made contact. I made contact with Miss Elam first, and then I looked at Mr. Williams.
And when you saw them, when you made contact with them, where were you at inside of the club?
I was inside of the club on the dance floor.
Okay, and where is the dance floor at? When you walk in and walk up, is the dance floor right in front of you, and what's to the side of the dance floor?
No, when you walk into the club, it's like a little hallway you can walk in towards to get into the dance area. And once you walk in the hallway, I think it's to the left, you can go inside of the dance area.
Okay, got it. And so at what point did you actually see them together? And where at?
Inside of the dance area.
Okay, and about how long did you see Mr. Williams and Miss Elam together?
About 2 to 3 hours together.
Okay, and during that time that they were together, let's break this down. When you first saw them, how long were they together?
About 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, was there any interruption when you did see them?
Yes.
Okay, and explain to the court what you mean.
They were dancing with each other, and then there was a pause into the event, and one of the hostess of the club had announced they were going to do a twerk contest for $100, and so that's when Miss Elam got a little excited, and she wanted to go in to do the twerk contest, and Mr. Williams tried to stop her from going up there, explaining that she would expose herself to the world. She would end up being on the World Star, and she jerked away and pulled away from him and ran up on stage.
Okay, and at that time when Miss Elam jerks away, when you say jerk away, what exactly do you mean?
Like he had her arm, and she pulled her arm away from him and went about her business.
Did it look like she was in any distress?
No.
What were her facial features and her facial reactions at this moment?
At the moment of when she was going on stage, she was, turn up, I'm here, twerk, and all that, she was
Okay.
having a good time.
And then you saw, after she dances, you see her again,
Uh-huh.
make contact with my client?
Yes,
And what was that contact?
they were still dancing
Okay.
and partying with each other.
Got it. And do you ever see them exit a room and go outside of a room?
No,
Do you ever see my client assault Miss Elam on the dance floor?
no,
Do you ever see my client's fingers go anywhere in regards to Miss Elam's body?
as far as like when they were dancing, touching on her side, as far as that, but other than that, no.
Okay. And what did my client actually have on that day?
He had on, I believe it was an all black sweatsuit.
Okay. Did you ever see any openings in his sweatsuit?
No,
Did you ever see any part of his lower half of his body, any skin?
no,
Okay. And did you ever see, at the moment where she is bent over, do you ever see, let me retract that, I'll rephrase it. While you're standing next to her, does she ever mention to you anything has happened to her?
no,
Does she ever mention
No.
that something occurred? Did you ever see her alert anybody else on the stage that something occurred?
No.
At any point was she around my client the whole time?
Yes. Not the whole time. Not when the performer was performing, she wasn't around him. But then after that.
So she left for my client at a certain point?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see her whispering in anybody's ear that has happened?
No.
Anything that anything had occurred?
No.
Did you ever see anybody coming back to Mr. Williams mentioning that something had occurred?
No.
Did you ever see her in distress or crying?
No.
Did she make any outcries to you guys at the club and those around her?
No.
Okay. Did she ever make any comments to you that anything occurred?
No.
No problem. And Ms. Reese, tell me in your words why you want to come forward.
Objection not relevant.
That is relevant. This is someone who was at the club, who has first-hand knowledge, who was there during the dances, who can attest to the facts and also why she's doing what she's doing. Mr. Williams is charged with aggravated sodomy, and I think this goes to, this is very important. This is relevant as to it relates to this girl, Ms. Reese being there and.
What was the question?
The question is, in your words, please explain why you want to come forward.
I wanted to come forward because I've seen everything that was going on, and I didn't want to have somebody be slandered or what was going on, because this is a very serious accusation, especially in the time that's going on now. And in my opinion, that the situation was brought out of proportion because of social media, and so I felt like somebody that was actually there should speak out as to what was going on and what was happening between the actions of both Mr. Williams and Ms. Allen.
Got it. And to this day, has anybody from the police department or the detectives made contact with you to get a statement from you?
No.
No further questions.
Ms. Reese, have you attempted to contact the police about this incident at all?
No.
No? Okay. And you said you didn't know the defendant, correct?
No.
And you didn't know the victim that night, correct?
No.
And you didn't come to the club with either one of them, correct?
Nope.
But you had eyes on them the entire night?
I didn't have eyes on them the entire night. I had eyes on them towards the end of the night.
Towards the end of it?
Yes.
So you said for at least 2 or 3 hours?
Yeah, we were there. I was there. I got there around 11:20. I seen them. I stayed there. I seen them a little before 1. We left at about 3:20, so that's towards the end of the night.
So from 11:20 to what? 1, you're saying you had eyes on the defendant and victim?
No, I said after a little before 1, I had eyes on the victim and Miss Eva.
So give me the total time that you were watching the defendant and the victim that evening.
I wasn't necessarily watching the defendant and the victim. We were all having a good time together. We were all partying together. So, she said, "Hey, it's my birthday, turn up." And then my cousin, he was a little intoxicated. So we were all enjoying the night with each other.
Okay. During the time that you were either enjoying the night, watching them, however you want to, define it, did you have eyes on the defendant's hands the entire time that you were watching them?
No, I didn't have eyes on his hands the entire time.
Then you didn't have eyes on his fingers the entire time, correct?
No.
So while the defendant and the victim were dancing very closely, you have no idea where his fingers were, correct?
Correct.
Objection. She already mentioned that she was in close proximity, and I testified to that. That she was around them, other people were around them. She has already mentioned that earlier. So
laughing, she was smirking, you know.
Okay, and how was she smirking, laughing, and dancing? What was she doing?
I mean, I can't really make a face like her, but she was like, you know, smiling, she's twerking, she's laughing, she's dancing, she's, you know, joking with other people around her. She's, you know,
Okay.
she's
And
back and forth between she's having a good time, she's looking seductive, she's different things.
what is she doing with her body?
She's moving her body. Her body is mainly up against Mr. Williams, and, you know, her lower end is on him.
On him, is her back arched back out?
Yes,
Okay, is she touching him at any point?
yes,
Okay, is she on the phone at any point?
yes.
Okay, and what is she doing?
Scrolling.
Okay, and is she talking to people on this phone?
Not that I can see, it just looked like she was scrolling from what I could see it.
Okay, did it look like she was enjoying herself?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions.
Reports.
Just one question. The victim that I had addressed, correct?
Correct.
And defense counsel just, I guess, demonstrated arching her back.
Correct.
Her butt to be pushed out, correct?
Correct.
And so the defendant had ample opportunity to slip his hand underneath her dress in her hands, correct?
From what I can remember, I believe the defendant had a drink in his hand and he was dancing. So if it was quick, it would have to been a split second.
And you agree he has two hands, correct?
Yeah, I'm saying, but like, you know, when you have a drink in your hand and you partying with the other hand, so I mean.
You agree you can party with your other hand down below underneath someone's dress,
Objection,
correct?
objection. He's asking her to speculate as to what someone can do with a drink in your hand and what someone
Okay,
can do.
speculation is legal. Objection.
Speculation.
Work response.
What's that?
Any further questions?
No.
May Ms. please step down.
No further questions.
No, Ms. Reese, step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
she only saw them dancing together 10 minutes. But the warrant that she gave to my client was a warrant in the time span of 12:01 to 3 a.m. So there's surveillance. This is opera. This is a busy day. This is August Alsina. Everybody's performing. There's enhanced security. There's bodyguards. There's police officers. Even more security that comes with a well-known national rapper performing. Okay, so all of a sudden, this is on a dance floor. This is being taking place on a dance floor. The force as you know, Judge, the law says slight force. It could be any type of force. There's no testimony that says that she was being forced to do something against her will or that she didn't like it. The testimony from Miss Reeves was that her facial expression, she was turned up. She was having a good time. She was like, wow, partying. There's other testimony that says she was back, she was grinding. Even the detective said that she looked like she was having a good time while she was dancing. And then on top of that, Miss Reeves says that she goes onto the dance floor and she dances more. But this is the same lady who just said she was sexually assaulted. This is the same lady that's inside of a club where police officers, security guards, people, this is a two-floor type of event. There's security everywhere. So if they would have gone off to this room, the room still has people outside on a patio. There's people waiting to get inside. This is August Alsina, Judge. I don't know if you know rappers, but this is August Alsina. So there's people here waiting. You do? Okay. You have his last album? I'm sure. I'm being, this is a national, well-known artist. This is not saying you're a local person. So there's enhanced security. There's testimony that was said that there are people around her. The detective even mentioned Miss Brady, which is Jasmine Eland's friend, was standing around her. There was no testimony that said that Miss Eland looked like she was in distress, that she felt like she was in distress. This is her friend. I have friends. People know my facial reactions, my facial expressions. They know something's wrong with me. I don't even have to open my mouth and people know something's wrong. There was no energy given off of that. There was no testimony saying that something happened when no one was looking. And it just didn't occur. It just did not happen. I actually have opera here on subpoena because there's over 220 video cameras. The detective said 10 minutes. That is not true. That is not true. She only said she looked at 3 cameras. Eland's, where she's like, help me, but she can't even testify as to what he was doing behind her. Then you have the next video that she says, which is Miss Brady's. Miss Brady's is from a different view where Mr. Williams is carrying her off. It doesn't say that he was carrying her off to do anything to her. He's 6'4", he's holding her. That doesn't mean he's doing something to her. He's holding her, he's 6'4". She's falling over. And in the Facebook Live, she's saying, help me, that the detective said, but there's people around her. Why not turn and say, hey, help me, hey, help me?
on the bench.